The first warning came from the moon. Not from Earth. Not from the military. From the moon. At 3:17 Universal Time Coordinated. Every telescope on Earth pointed toward the same impossible object. It was moving across the dark side of the moon. At first, scientists thought it was an asteroid. Then the object stopped. An asteroid couldn't stop in space. The world watched in silence as a massive black vessel emerged from behind the moon. It was not a spaceship humans had ever seen. It had no visible engines, no lights, no markings. It simply floated there, perfectly still, like something that had been waiting for Earth to notice it. Then every communications satellite on Earth went offline for exactly 11 seconds. When they came back online, every screen on the planet displayed the same message. We have come to test your world. No government knew who had sent it. No scientist knew how they had hijacked every communication system. And nobody knew what the word test meant. Then a second message appeared. Your species has been selected. People began recording the screens. News stations interrupted broadcasts. Military commanders ordered nuclear forces onto alert. But before anyone could respond, a third message appeared. This one was only 6 words. We are sending our best. Then the screens went black. For the next 30 minutes, nothing happened. That silence terrified humanity more than an attack would have. Because whatever was coming, the aliens were giving Earth time to understand that it was coming. At 3:49 Universal Time Coordinated, radar stations detected something falling through Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't a ship. It was alive. The object entered over the Pacific Ocean at impossible speed. Air traffic control operators watched their screens as the unidentified object crossed thousands of kilometers in seconds. Then it disappeared. No impact. No explosion. Nothing. The military assumed it had crashed into the ocean. They were wrong. At 4:02 Universal Time Coordinated, a fishing vessel near the Mariana Trench sent a distress signal. The captain was screaming. Not reporting. Screaming. The recording lasted only 18 seconds. The first 11 seconds contained nothing except heavy breathing. Then the captain whispered, "Something is walking on the water." The recording ended. The military sent drones. 3 disappeared. Then 4 helicopters. Gone. Finally, a submarine was ordered into the area. Its crew found something at the bottom of the ocean. A crater nearly 2 kilometers wide. And in the center of that crater, there were footprints. Massive footprints. 6 meters apart. Leading away from the impact site. The submarine crew followed them. The footprints crossed the ocean floor. Then they reached land. That should have been impossible. But the tracks continued across the coastline. Through forests. Across roads. Through villages. And toward a military research facility located hundreds of kilometers inland. The base commander received the first report at 5:11. He looked at the satellite image. Then looked again. Something was standing outside the facility. The satellite couldn't identify its face. It was too large. Almost 4 meters tall. Its body was covered in black armor-like skin. Its arms were longer than a human's legs. And its head had no visible eyes. Only a narrow red line where a face should have been. The commander ordered every soldier inside the facility to prepare. 200 armed personnel surrounded the creature. The creature didn't move. It simply stood there, waiting. The commander activated the loudspeaker. You are surrounded. No response. You are trespassing on human territory. Still nothing. You have 10 seconds to identify yourself. The creature finally moved. Not toward them. It slowly raised one hand. A soldier fired. The bullet hit the creature in the chest. It didn't even flinch. Another soldier fired. Then another. Within seconds, the entire perimeter opened fire. Hundreds of rounds slammed into the creature. Dust filled the air. The soldiers stopped. Silence returned. Then the dust began to clear. The creature was still standing. Not wounded. Not angry. Just disappointed. One soldier whispered, "What the hell is that?" The creature turned its head, and for the first time, the red line on its face opened. A voice came from inside it. Deep. Cold. Not human. You are not the prey. The soldiers froze. The creature looked toward the sky. Then it said something that nobody understood. A moment later, every military satellite above Earth received the same transmission. The aliens were speaking, and their message was not to humanity. It was to the creature. Begin the hunt. The creature looked back at the soldiers. Then it smiled. For the first time, humanity understood the truth. The alien ship had not come to invade Earth. It had come to release something the galaxy considered unbeatable, something that had hunted civilizations for centuries, something that had never lost. The creature took one step forward. The ground shook, then another, and another. The soldiers began retreating, but the creature stopped. It tilted its head, almost as if it had suddenly noticed something strange. Behind the soldiers stood a young military officer. He wasn't running, he wasn't aiming a weapon. He was simply watching the creature. Calmly, the creature stared at him. The officer stared back. For several seconds, neither moved. Then the creature's expression changed. The red line across its face narrowed. Its breathing became heavier. And for the first time since arriving on Earth, the predator took one step backward. The soldiers didn't understand. The officer did. Something about him had triggered a memory the creature had carried across hundreds of worlds. The officer slowly stepped forward. "You're afraid of me." The creature didn't answer. The officer smiled. And somewhere above Earth, inside the alien mothership, every alien watching the encounter suddenly became silent. Because they knew something humanity didn't. Their predator had never been afraid before. Not once. Not in 1,000 years. And yet, it was looking at one human as if it had just seen a ghost. Then the creature whispered 4 words. Words that would change the fate of Earth forever. Not him. Not again. The creature took another step backward. Every soldier around the facility noticed. Nobody understood why. 200 armed humans had fired everything they had at it. The bullets had done nothing. The creature had walked through them like rain. Yet one unarmed man had made it retreat. The young officer slowly lowered his weapon. His name was Captain Daniel Cross. He had spent 12 years in Earth Special Operations Forces. He had fought wars. He had survived situations that should have killed him. But he had never seen anything like this. Daniel looked directly into the creature's narrow red eyes. "What did you mean?" The creature said nothing. Daniel stepped closer. "You said, not him. Not again." The creature's body became completely still. Then something unexpected happened. It lowered its head. Not in surrender. Not exactly. It looked confused, as if it was trying to understand why Daniel's face seemed familiar. Daniel noticed something on its neck. A small metallic symbol. 3 circles connected by a thin line. He had seen that symbol before. 8 years earlier. During a classified mission in Antarctica. Back then, everyone had called it a meteorological anomaly. Daniel knew better. His team had found a buried structure beneath the ice. Inside that structure was a wall covered with thousands of symbols. Most meant nothing, but one symbol had appeared again and again. 3 connected circles. The same symbol now hanging from the creature's neck. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You've been here before." The creature's head snapped upward. For the first time, it looked genuinely shocked. One of the soldiers shouted, "Captain Moo!" The creature suddenly vanished.
Contact
Not
front.
ran, vanished. A second later, it appeared 20 meters behind Daniel. The soldiers turned and raised their weapons. But Daniel didn't move. The creature stood directly behind him, close enough to kill him. It raised one massive hand. Its claws hovered over Daniel's shoulder, then stopped. The creature's hand began to shake. Daniel slowly turned. "Why aren't you killing me?" The creature's voice came out almost like a whisper. "Because I remember." "Remember what?" The creature looked into his eyes. "You." Daniel's expression changed. "That's impossible." The creature shook its head. "No." It touched the metal symbol on its neck. "Not you." Then it pointed at Daniel. "Your blood." Daniel felt a chill. "What about my blood?" The creature stepped backward. 8 years ago, your species found the gate." Daniel's heart stopped. The gate. That word had been buried in military archives for years. The Antarctic structure. The strange wall. The symbols. His entire team had been ordered to forget it. Everyone who had worked on the project had signed classified agreements. But one scientist had disappeared. Another had died. And Daniel had been told the facility never existed. The creature continued. You opened it. Daniel stared at it. We didn't open anything. The creature's voice became louder. You did. The sky suddenly changed. Clouds began moving against the wind. Every electronic device around the facility shut down. Soldiers lost communication. Vehicles stopped. Even the lights went dark. Then a deep vibration rolled across the ground. The creature looked upward. Its posture changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. Daniel noticed. What is it? The creature whispered. They are coming. Who? The creature looked toward the sky. The ones who sent me. A massive shadow appeared above the clouds. The alien mothership. It was descending, but it wasn't alone. Dozens of smaller ships surrounded it. Then hundreds. The sky filled with alien warships. The soldiers stared upward. Daniel's radio suddenly came back online. A military commander was screaming, Captain Cross, get your people underground immediately. Daniel looked at the creature. Why? The commander answered, because every nuclear facility on Earth just received an unauthorized launch command. Daniel's blood went cold. What? We're being hacked. The creature suddenly laughed. Not because it was amused, because it was terrified. Daniel looked at it. You're afraid. The creature stared at the approaching fleet. They don't want to invade your world. Then what do they want? The creature turned toward Daniel. They want to make sure you never leave it. A massive beam of blue light suddenly struck the ocean. The explosion was visible from hundreds of kilometers away. Then another beam, and another. The alien fleet wasn't attacking cities. It was attacking specific locations. Military bases, research facilities, satellite stations, nuclear installations. They were eliminating Earth's ability to fight back. Daniel understood. This is an execution. The creature nodded. For your species. Daniel looked at the soldiers, then at the sky, then back at the creature. Can you stop them? The creature stared at him. Yes. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Then do it. The creature didn't move. I cannot. Why? Because I was sent here to kill you. Daniel stepped closer. But you don't want to? The creature's red eyes dimmed. No. Then help us. Silence. The creature looked at the human soldiers, then at the burning horizon. Finally, it looked back at Daniel. You don't understand. Then explain. The creature slowly removed the metallic symbol from its neck. Underneath, it was a deep scar. Daniel recognized the pattern. It was identical to the symbols found beneath the Antarctic ice. The creature spoke quietly. I am not their strongest predator. Daniel froze. The soldiers looked at each other. The creature continued. I am their prison guard. Daniel's face went pale. Prison guard? The creature nodded. What you call monsters? It pointed toward the alien fleet. They call weapons. Then it pointed toward Earth. And I was sent here because something underneath your planet has awakened. Daniel stared at it. What? The creature's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Your species. Before Daniel could respond, the entire planet shook. A sound came from beneath the ground. Not an explosion. Not an earthquake. A heartbeat. One enormous heartbeat. Boom. Every soldier froze. Boom. Windows shattered. Boom. The ground cracked. The creature stepped backward. For the first time, Daniel saw something he never thought possible. The predator was trembling. Daniel whispered, What is under us? The creature looked at him, then gave him an answer that made every human in the room wish they had never asked. The first humans. Another heartbeat shook the planet, and somewhere beneath the Earth's crust, something opened its eyes. The first humans. Those 3 words stayed in Captain Daniel Cross's mind. Not because they made sense, because they didn't. Daniel looked at the creature. You're telling me there are humans beneath the Earth? The creature nodded. Not humans. Daniel frowned. You just called them the first humans. They were. The ground shook again. Boom. A crack opened across the concrete floor. Soldiers stumbled backward. The creature didn't even look at the crack. It was staring at Daniel. They came before your history. Another tremor. Boom. They built cities before your species learned to write. Another. They crossed worlds before your species learned to leave its oceans. Daniel's face hardened. Then why don't we know about them? The creature's answer was simple. Because they were erased. A military scientist stepped forward. By who? The creature looked toward the sky. The galaxy. Everyone became silent. The scientist shook his head. That's impossible. The creature turned toward him. Your people think you discovered space. It pointed upward. You did not. The scientist swallowed. Then what are we? The creature stared at the ground. Survivors. Suddenly, every monitor inside the facility turned on. A single image appeared. Antarctica, the same underground structure Daniel had seen 8 years earlier. Except now the structure was changing. Its walls were moving. The symbols were glowing. And beneath them was a massive circular door. Daniel stepped closer to the screen. I've seen this. The scientist beside him stared. Where? Antarctica. The scientist looked at him. That facility was destroyed. Daniel shook his head. No. He pointed at the screen. It wasn't destroyed. The creature interrupted. It was buried. Daniel turned. Why? The creature looked at him. To keep them asleep. Then the ground exploded. A shock wave threw soldiers across the room. The facility's roof collapsed. Daniel hit the floor. For several seconds, there was nothing but dust and screaming. Then he heard something, a sound coming from beneath him, metal scraping against stone. Daniel pushed himself up. The floor was breaking apart. A huge circular opening had appeared beneath the facility. And inside it, there were lights. Thousands of them. Not artificial lights. Eyes. Daniel froze. The creature grabbed him. Run. Daniel looked at it. You said they were human. I said they were once human. Something moved in the darkness. Then another. Then hundreds. Tall figures began climbing from the underground chamber. They were humanoid, but they were not like modern humans. They were larger. Much larger. Their bodies were covered with strange black armor that seemed to grow directly from their skin. Their eyes glowed pale blue. And every single one of them carried a weapon Daniel had never seen. The soldiers raised their rifles. The creature shouted, "Don't shoot." Too late. One soldier fired. The bullet struck the nearest figure. It didn't even react. The figure slowly turned its head. Then it raised one hand. The soldier was lifted from the ground. His weapon fell. His body was thrown across the room like a piece of paper. Everyone stopped firing. Daniel stared. The creature whispered, "They don't remember mercy." One of the ancient beings stepped forward. Its eyes locked onto Daniel. Then it spoke. Its voice was almost human. "Where is the gate?" Daniel didn't answer. The creature moved between them. "He's not the gatekeeper." The ancient being looked at it. "You." The creature froze. "You were sent." The creature lowered its head. "Yes." The ancient being's expression changed. "You betrayed us." The creature said nothing. Daniel looked between them. "What is this gate?" The ancient being looked at him. "The door that separates your world from ours." Daniel frowned. "But you're already here." The ancient being smiled. "No." It pointed downward. "We are not here." Daniel looked confused. The ancient being continued. "This is not Earth." The facility went silent. Daniel looked around. "What?" The ancient being pointed toward the ceiling. "Your world is only the shell." Daniel shook his head. "That's impossible." Then the creature stepped forward. "It isn't." Daniel turned toward it. "What are you saying?" The creature looked at the ancient beings. "They are not beneath Earth." Daniel's eyes widened. "They are inside it." The room went silent. Suddenly, the alien fleet above Earth opened fire. Hundreds of beams struck the planet. But instead of destroying cities, they struck the ground around the facility. The alien ships were creating a massive circle. Daniel realized what they were doing. "They're surrounding us." The creature nodded. "They're sealing the planet." Daniel looked at the sky. "Why?" "Because they know what is waking up." The ancient being suddenly laughed. A cold, ancient laugh. "They are afraid." Daniel looked at him. "Of you?" The ancient being shook its head. "Not us." It looked directly at Daniel. "Of you." Daniel's face hardened. "Why would they be afraid of me?" The ancient being stepped closer. "Because you carry the blood. Daniel instinctively touched his arm. The creature had said the same thing. Whose blood? The ancient being smiled. The blood of the first gatekeeper. Daniel froze. Then something inside his arm began glowing. A thin blue line appeared beneath his skin. The same symbol. 3 connected circles. The creature stared at it. No. Daniel looked down. What? The creature backed away. That symbol was supposed to be extinct. The ancient being looked at Daniel. It was... Daniel looked between them. Then why is it inside me? The ancient being answered. Because you are not the first gatekeeper. Daniel's breathing stopped. You are the last. Suddenly, every alien ship in the sky turned toward the facility. Thousands of weapons charged simultaneously. The creature looked upward. They found him. Daniel looked at the sky. What happens now? The creature's voice was almost a whisper. Now they stop pretending this is an invasion. The ancient being raised its weapon. They are coming for you. Daniel stared at the army above. Then he looked at the soldiers around him. And finally at the predator who had been sent to kill him. The creature stepped beside Daniel. For the first time, it stood shoulder to shoulder with a human. Daniel looked at it. Are you still going to kill me? The creature looked toward the alien fleet. No. Why? The creature's red eyes burned brighter. Because I finally understand why they were afraid of Earth. The ground beneath them began to open. A gigantic blue light erupted from the planet. Every alien ship immediately stopped moving. The entire fleet went silent. And then a voice echoed across the sky. Not from a ship, not from a radio, from Earth itself. The gatekeeper has returned. Daniel looked up. The aliens began retreating. For the first time since they had arrived, they were running, and the predator beside Daniel whispered, Now they know what you really are. For 3 seconds, the alien fleet did nothing. Then every ship turned, not toward Earth, away from it. Captain Daniel Cross watched thousands of alien vessels retreat into orbit. The same aliens who had arrived with enough firepower to destroy cities were suddenly running. Daniel looked at the creature beside him. What are they afraid of? The creature didn't answer. It was staring at the blue light beneath the ground. Then the ancient beings began moving. Hundreds of them. Thousands. They formed a circle around Daniel. The soldiers raised their weapons again. Daniel stopped them. Don't. One soldier looked at him. Captain, we don't know what they are. Daniel stared at the ancient beings. Neither do I. Then one of the ancient beings placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. The moment it touched him, Daniel saw something. Not with his eyes, with his mind. A city, but not a human city. The towers were enormous. Ships moved silently between them. Thousands of different alien species walked through the streets. And humans were everywhere. Not as slaves, not as prisoners. They were leaders, scientists, soldiers, explorers. Daniel saw a human fleet moving through space. Thousands of warships, each one carrying the same symbol. 3 connected circles. Then the vision changed. A battlefield. Hundreds of planets burning. Alien fleets attacking from every direction. And humans fighting them. But the humans weren't losing. They were winning. Again and again, Daniel watched humanity push through the galaxy. Then something appeared. A massive black structure. Larger than a planet. The aliens called it something. Daniel couldn't understand the word. But he understood its purpose. It was a weapon. The ancient humans had built it. A weapon capable of destroying entire civilizations. And they had used it once. The galaxy surrendered. But then, the humans disappeared. The vision changed again. Daniel saw Earth. Young. Untouched. A group of humans stood beside the same underground gate. They were crying. They were saying goodbye. Then one of them placed his hand on the gate. The entire structure activated. And something happened. The ancient humans removed their own memories. Their technology. Their history. Everything. They turned themselves into ordinary humans. They buried the truth beneath the planet. And they left one person behind. The gatekeeper. The final human who would remember. Daniel opened his eyes. He was back inside the ruined facility. The ancient being was still holding his shoulder. Daniel whispered, "You erased yourselves." The ancient being nodded. "To save the galaxy." Daniel looked at the creature. And you? The creature lowered its head. I was one of the hunters. Daniel stared at it. You hunted humans? Yes.
Contact
Why?
front.
Because we were told your species would destroy
Light 'em up.
everything.
Move in.
Daniel looked toward the sky. But you were wrong. The creature looked at him. No. It paused. We were lied to. Suddenly, the entire sky turned red. The alien fleet had stopped retreating. Daniel looked upward. They're coming back. The creature shook its head. Not them. A massive object appeared beyond the moon. It was larger than the alien mothership. Much larger. It looked like a dark planet moving through space. The soldiers stared. The ancient beings became silent. Daniel asked, "What is that?" The creature answered with one word. "The Council." Daniel frowned. The Council? The oldest powers in the galaxy. The object began opening. Hundreds of smaller vessels emerged. Then thousands. Then millions. The sky above Earth slowly filled with alien ships. Daniel's radio came alive. Every military station on Earth was broadcasting at once. We have unidentified objects entering orbit. Thousands of them. No, millions. All continents are reporting the same thing. Captain, they're surrounding the planet. Daniel looked upward. The creature spoke quietly. They aren't here to attack. Daniel looked at it. Then why are they here? They came to see you. Daniel laughed bitterly. That's supposed to make me feel better? No. The creature's eyes narrowed. They came to decide whether you should live. A voice suddenly came through every communication system on Earth. It wasn't human. It wasn't even one voice. It sounded like thousands of voices speaking together. Gatekeeper. Daniel looked around. The voice continued. You have returned. Daniel stepped forward. Who are you? The ones who remember. Daniel looked at the ancient beings. And what do you want? Silence. Then, your answer. Daniel frowned. To what? The voice replied. Will humanity remain asleep? Daniel looked around. The soldiers. The ancient humans. The creature. The destroyed facility. Then he looked at the sky. Why? The voice answered. Because if you wake, the galaxy will burn. Daniel felt the weight of those words. The aliens weren't afraid of Earth. They weren't afraid of human weapons. They were afraid of what humanity used to be. The creature stepped beside him. Daniel looked at it. What happens if I say no? The creature answered. They leave. And if I say yes? The creature looked toward the sky. They attack. Daniel was silent. Then he asked, how many? The creature looked at the millions of ships surrounding Earth. Enough to destroy every city. Daniel nodded. And our chances? The creature hesitated. 0. Daniel smiled. Then I guess we don't have anything to lose. The creature stared at him. What are you going to do? Daniel looked toward the ancient gate. Wake up. The creature's eyes widened. No. Daniel stepped toward the glowing structure. If they're afraid of what humanity used to be, the blue symbol on Daniel's arm began glowing brighter. Then maybe it's time they remembered. The ancient beings stepped aside. The gate began opening. Deep underground, something enormous started moving. Across the planet, hidden structures began activating. In deserts, under oceans, beneath mountains, inside abandoned military bases. One by one, ancient symbols appeared. The entire Earth began glowing with blue lines. The alien fleet stopped. The Council's voice returned. But this time, there was fear in it. Stop him. Millions of alien weapons charged. Every human military system on Earth activated. But before a single alien weapon could fire, something came out of the gate. A ship. Then another. Then 10. Then 100. Then thousands. Ancient human warships rose from beneath the Earth. They were enormous. Black armor. Blue energy. Weapons that made nuclear missiles look primitive. The soldiers stared in disbelief. Daniel looked at the fleet. The creature whispered. Those ships were supposed to be destroyed. Daniel smiled. They weren't. One ancient warship moved above the clouds. Its weapons activated. Every alien ship surrounding Earth immediately backed away. Then the ancient human fleet transmitted one message across the galaxy. Humanity is awake. The response came almost instantly. The alien fleet opened fire, and Earth finally went to war. But Daniel didn't know the most terrifying truth yet. The predator beside him wasn't afraid of the alien army. It was afraid of something much closer, something that was waking up inside Daniel, something even the ancient humans had feared. And as the first alien fleet attacked, Daniel heard a voice inside his own head, a voice that sounded exactly like him. It whispered, "You should not have opened the gate." The voice inside Daniel's head disappeared. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. Then the ground beneath his feet cracked. A wave of blue energy exploded across the battlefield. Every ancient human warship above Earth activated at once. The alien fleet responded immediately. Millions of weapons fired. The sky became a wall of light. Daniel watched the first wave of energy weapons strike the ancient human ships. Nothing happened. The ships didn't move, didn't shake, didn't even slow down. The alien fleet fired again. Still nothing. Then the human fleet fired back. One beam crossed the sky. A massive alien warship disappeared. Not exploded, not damaged, simply erased. Another beam followed. Then another. Within seconds, hundreds of alien ships were gone. The soldiers on the ground stared upward. One of them whispered, "That's our side." Daniel didn't answer, because he was staring at something else. The blue symbol on his arm was spreading. Lines of light were moving from his wrist toward his shoulder. Then his chest. Then his neck. The creature noticed. No. Daniel looked at it. What? The creature stepped backward. Don't let it reach your heart. Daniel looked down. What happens if it does? The creature didn't answer. Daniel grabbed its shoulder. Tell me. The creature finally spoke. You become the gate. Daniel froze. What does that mean? The creature looked toward the ancient human fleet. The gatekeeper isn't a person. Daniel frowned. It is now. No. The creature shook its head. The gatekeeper is a weapon. Before Daniel could respond, the ancient beings surrounding them suddenly dropped to knee. Every single one. Daniel looked around. Why are they kneeling? The creature lowered its head. Because they recognize you. Daniel stared at the ancient warriors. Recognize me as what? The creature answered. Their king. Daniel laughed. I'm not their king. The oldest ancient being stepped forward. You were. Daniel looked at him. Was. The ancient being nodded. You were the last commander before the memory purge. Daniel shook his head. I've never met you. You did. When? The ancient being pointed at his chest. Before you were born. Daniel's breathing slowed. The ancient being continued. You were placed inside a human bloodline. Daniel stared. Why? Because the gate needed a human mind. Daniel looked at the creature. And the aliens? They knew. The creature's voice became quiet. They have spent centuries searching for your bloodline. Daniel looked toward the sky. And now they found me. No. The creature shook its head. They didn't find you. Daniel looked at it. You called them. Daniel froze. What? When you touched the gate, the creature pointed toward Daniel's glowing arm. You announced yourself to the galaxy. Suddenly, the alien fleet stopped firing. Every ship went silent. Then the council's voice returned. Gatekeeper. Daniel looked upward. We give you one chance. Daniel didn't answer. Close the gate. Daniel looked at the ancient fleet. Then at Earth. Then at the millions of alien ships. What happens if I refuse? The voice answered. We destroy your world. Daniel smiled. You already tried. Silence. Then we destroy the galaxy. The soldiers looked at each other. Daniel's smile disappeared. The creature stepped closer. They aren't bluffing. Daniel asked, how? The creature looked at the sky. Their fleet is only the beginning. A massive structure appeared behind the alien fleet. Then another. Then another. Entire planets were moving. Not planets. Weapons. The council had brought machines capable of destroying stars. Daniel looked at the creature. So they would destroy everything just to kill me? The creature shook its head. Not you. Daniel frowned. What then? The creature pointed toward Earth. The thing inside you. Daniel felt the voice return. This time louder. Open. Daniel collapsed to his knees. The soldiers rushed toward him. Captain! Daniel grabbed his head. Images flooded his mind. Millions of stars. Thousands of worlds. Human fleets. Alien armies. Then a massive black creature. Bigger than a mountain. Older than any civilization. It was chained beneath a dead planet. And Daniel knew it. He had seen it before. Not in a dream. In the Antarctic gate. The creature opened its eyes. Daniel heard its voice. You left me here. Daniel screamed. The ancient beings backed away. The predator suddenly dropped to the ground. It lowered its head. Then its entire body began shaking. Daniel looked at it. What's happening? The creature whispered. It's awake. Daniel looked around. What is? The creature raised its head. For the first time, there was absolute terror in its eyes. The thing your ancestors were running from. Daniel looked toward the sky. The alien fleet was retreating again. Even the Council's massive weapons were turning away. Daniel couldn't understand. Why are they leaving? The creature looked at him. Because they know what comes next. The ground beneath Earth began splitting. Not one crack. Thousands. Across continents. Oceans began pulling apart. Mountains shook. Cities lost power. And beneath the planet, something enormous began climbing upward. The ancient beings began chanting. Daniel recognized the words. They were saying his name. Again. And again. And again. The creature looked at him. Daniel. He turned. Yes. If you let it out. The creature paused. Earth will never be the same. Daniel looked at the sky. Millions of alien ships were fleeing. Then he looked at the soldiers. His people. His planet. His home. What happens if I don't? The creature answered. The aliens come back. Daniel nodded. And if I let it out? The creature looked toward the cracking earth. They won't. Daniel took a deep breath. Then he stepped toward the gate. The blue light around his body became blinding. The ancient beings fell to their knees. The alien fleet vanished into hyperspace. And the creature, the galaxy's deadliest predator, walked toward Daniel. Then something happened that no human had ever witnessed. The creature lowered itself onto both knees and bowed its head. Daniel stared. What are you doing? The predator looked up. Its voice was barely audible. Begging. Daniel's expression hardened. For what? The creature swallowed. For you not to wake it. Daniel looked down. The ground beneath him was moving. Something enormous was rising. Something that had been buried beneath Earth long before humanity had a name. The creature whispered. If you wake it, a massive eye opened beneath the planet. The galaxy will finally understand why humans were feared. Daniel closed his eyes. Then he whispered. Too late. The blue symbol on his chest exploded with light. And the Earth screamed. The Earth screamed. Not metaphorically. The planet itself made a sound. A deep, impossible roar traveled through the oceans, across mountains, through cities and into space. Every human on Earth heard it. Every alien ship heard it. And every creature in the galaxy that had ever known the ancient human name stopped. Captain Daniel Cross stood inside the collapsing gate. Blue energy surrounded his body. The symbol on his chest burned brighter than the sun. The predator remained on its knees. Daniel. It whispered. Daniel looked at it. Go. The creature didn't move. Please. Daniel's eyes narrowed. You wanted to go home. The predator looked toward the sky. My home is gone. Daniel stared at it. What happened? The creature lowered its head. Humans happened. Daniel froze. The creature continued. Your ancestors didn't destroy my world. They saved it. Daniel said nothing. The predator looked at the awakening thing beneath Earth. They gave us a choice. Daniel asked, what choice? Live with them. The creature's voice trembled. Or fight them. And you fought. Yes. Daniel looked at the ancient humans. And they won. The creature nodded. But instead of killing us, they erased our memories. Daniel understood. They gave your species another chance. Yes. The creature looked at him. And your ancestors did the same thing to themselves. Daniel looked down at his glowing hands. Why? The creature answered. Because power without memory becomes cruelty. The ground shook again. The massive eye beneath Earth opened wider. The ancient beings raised their weapons. But they weren't attacking. They were waiting. Daniel finally understood. The thing beneath Earth wasn't an enemy. It was a prison, and the gate was the lock. He looked at the creature. You said it was a weapon. It is. Then why was it buried? The creature looked afraid. Because your ancestors realized something. What? They could destroy the galaxy. Daniel looked toward the stars. But they couldn't control themselves. The creature nodded. So they built the gate. Daniel's eyes widened. They locked their power away. Yes. And made themselves ordinary. Yes. Daniel looked down at the symbol. Until I opened it. The creature whispered. Until you came back. Daniel looked toward the sky. The alien fleet had stopped retreating. They were watching. The council was watching. The entire galaxy was watching. Daniel raised his hand. Every ancient human warship stopped. Every weapon went silent. The aliens froze. Daniel spoke. You came here because you were afraid of humanity. The council answered. Yes. You tried to kill us. Yes. You were willing to destroy Earth. Silence. Then, yes. Daniel looked toward the massive alien fleet. Then you still don't understand humans. The symbol on his chest changed. The blue light became white. Every ancient warship powered down. The ancient beings lowered their weapons. The creature looked confused. What are you doing? Daniel answered. Ending this. The predators stared at him. But you can destroy them. I know. You can destroy the council. I know. You can rule the galaxy. Daniel looked at it. That's exactly why I won't. The creature became completely still. Daniel stepped away from the gate. The giant eye beneath Earth began closing. The cracks across the planet stopped spreading. The blue energy disappeared. And the gate began sealing itself. The council transmitted one final message. You will surrender your power? Daniel smiled. No. The alien voice returned. Then what will you do? Daniel looked toward Earth. I'll make sure nobody ever needs it again. The gate closed. The ancient human fleet disappeared. The underground cities went dark. The ancient beings slowly turned to stone. One by one, their bodies became statues. The soldiers watched in silence. Then the predator stood. It looked at Daniel. What happens now? Daniel looked toward the sky. The same thing that happened before. What? We forget. The predator's eyes widened. You would erase your own memory again? Daniel nodded. Humanity isn't ready. The creature looked at him. And you? Daniel looked at the symbol on his chest. I'm keeping one memory. Which one? Daniel looked toward the stars. That we were never weak. The predator smiled. For the first time, Daniel saw the creature without fear. It looked almost peaceful. Then it asked, Can I go home now? Daniel looked at the destroyed alien ships floating in orbit. Yes. The predator started walking away. Then it stopped. It turned back. Daniel. Yes. The creature hesitated. If they come back. Daniel smiled. They won't. The creature nodded. Then disappeared into the forest. Weeks passed. The world slowly returned to normal. Governments blamed the destruction on a meteorological disaster. The military erased every record. Scientists were ordered to forget what they had seen. The alien ships vanished. The strange symbols disappeared. The gate was sealed. Humanity went back to believing it was alone. But something had changed. Far beyond Earth, the council gathered. Millions of alien representatives stood in silence. An ancient recording played. It showed Daniel standing before the gate. The council's oldest member looked at the others. The humans have chosen peace. Another alien asked, Then why are you afraid? The old member looked at the recording. Because they could have chosen war. Silence. Then the oldest member spoke the words that would become a warning across the galaxy. Never wake humanity again. Years later, a small human research vessel was traveling beyond the edge of the solar system. Its crew detected something strange. A signal. Very weak. Very old. The captain ordered the signal decoded. The message contained only one sentence. We know what you are. The crew laughed. They thought it was an alien prank. Then another message arrived. We are not coming to Earth. The crew became silent. A final message appeared. We are running from something else. The captain stared at the screen. What are they running from? The computer translated the final transmission. 3 words appeared. The human's predator. The crew looked at each other. Then the ship's sensors detected movement. Something enormous was approaching from deep space. The captain whispered, "Is that a ship?" The computer answered, "Negative." "Then what is it?" The screen displayed a warning. "Life form detected." The captain's face went pale. "How big?" The computer paused. Then, "Planetary." The crew stared through the observation window. A gigantic silhouette moved across the stars. And somewhere on Earth, Captain Daniel Cross suddenly opened his eyes. The symbol on his chest was glowing again. He looked toward the night sky and smiled because he finally understood. The predator had not gone home. It had been hunting something much worse. And for the first time, humanity wasn't the prey. It was the thing the galaxy was begging to save them. The end.